was sung at my installation service here. And Reverend Elder Darlene Garner, she looked at me and she said, "They've got it going on." I said, "Yes, they do. Yes, they do." It's wonderful. Every time I hear that, I remember that service. And we do have it going on, and that's something to celebrate. I told you we were in for a great time together this morning. Do you feel like you've met with the God of your understanding today?
No.
Do you?
No.
Congregation, I asked you a question. Do you? Yeah, all right, there we go. So today we're going to have a lot of talking back and forth, and I hope that we can enjoy that together. So this week, I have been a little bit more frazzled by the words of our politicians. So I don't often bring this into the pulpit, but I am going to do that today. Because I have been profoundly disgusted that any leader, especially a leader that says that this individual wants to be our president, feels like they have the right to put down anyone and to tell them to go home. Because lo and behold, these congresswomen are home, and that's what we need to celebrate. And let us be proud that these are women of color. Women of color. Who deserve our respect, who deserve our support, and who never, ever deserve to be told that they are less than. And it seems to me that we are hearing this over and over and over again, just not by the president, but other elected leaders and even those in our midst. Nobody is deserving of being told that they are less than. But I'm here to tell you, I believe that all of us need to be accountable for our behavior. And when will we get to the place that 45 will be accountable for his behavior, right? And I know that sometimes when we are confronted with behavioral issues that can make us feel bad, we don't see this as a way to grow, because it calls us on the carpet for what we have done and what we have said and what we have emailed people. In our day and age, this thing that we call social media is a tool that is used to proclaim such hate. It just is so wrong. And as we proclaim this hate, whether it's from our elected leaders or on Facebook or other modes, if it's a tweet, I don't care what it is. The reason I will stand against this is because this is exactly what Jesus stood against. This is exactly what Jesus taught. People say to me all the time, "What would Jesus do, Pastor?" I say, well, Jesus would confront that behavior. That's what Jesus would do. Because Jesus came to teach us a way of love. Jesus came to teach us a way of compassion. Jesus came to teach us a way to where all people are celebrated just the way they are. Jesus came to teach us that hierarchy is not for love when it puts people down. And I'm afraid that we have learned to settle to where we begin as a country, as a nation, to accept that what we see happening in our government is that we are told that we are important based on gender and the color of our skin. And that is wrong. And I believe as disciples of Jesus that we have a right to stand up against that behavior. And until we do, may we just be angry. But it's so important that we not mirror that behavior, right? That we remember that although we may need to protect ourselves and have a right to do so, we do not ever have a right to put anybody down. We do not ever have a right to tell people to go home. As I have proclaimed in this church, all people are welcome, but all behavior is not. And if you're somebody that needs to have bad behavior or drama, check it at the door. Because that behavior does nothing but tell people that they are less than. And we need not to do that. We need to do things like the bread ministry. Remind people that they are worthy to receive bread. Bread that was made but was not sold. And so we will go and pick it up and repackage it and take it to those who are hungry. And we are grateful that we can. We need to remind people that as we meet as groups, that they are welcomed in this place. That they are welcome to come here. I take tremendous pride that we have 3 meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous meeting on our campus. People that we will never be able to meet. People that the Richmond Police Department says, wow, look at all this. And those same police officers remind those people that they have a right to park near our church, even when our neighbors beg to differ. I'm proud of that. I hope you are too. We are a church that has this group called the Bi Discussion Group, and mental health, ending the stigma of mental health, where people come and they are heard and they are taught and they question things. But as they do, they grow as individuals because they are affirmed as God's beloved, and asking questions is always a good thing. And as you take in that information, and most often, hearing that you are loved just the way you are, isn't that an amazing gift? We see it each and every Sunday as people come into our doors. I said to you last week, nobody that I've talked to as our visitor comes here looking for God. They come here looking for hope. They come here looking for a reason to get out of bed. They come here because they have often been rejected and cast aside. And as they walk through the doors, when they see you talking to one another, when they see you hugging each other, when they hear the laughter, they get a glimpse of not only an MCC Richmond connection for the very first time. They're confronted with the fact that this is what God's love looks like. This is what God's love looks like. And that's a good thing. And now that I've calmed down a little bit, so the events of this week, I've had a really difficult time connecting them to the story of Mary and Martha. I told Joy Wednesday night at Living Wednesday, Joy, please don't read my article this week and know that it's going to be okay. Because I think that we have misunderstood the story of Mary and Martha. 2 sisters who invite Jesus into their home. And Martha is very busy doing all the things that she needs to do so that Jesus can enjoy resting, so that he can enjoy the comforts of being in their home. And she was working hard, exercising her gift of hospitality. Many of you have that same exact gift. As a matter of fact, I think we as a congregation have the gift of hospitality. Because we welcome people, all people. It doesn't matter who you are. You are welcomed here in this place. And may I say that you are welcome not because of the color of your skin or your sexuality or your gender. You're welcome because you are the beloved of God and you deserve to be treated that way. So this is all that Martha is doing. And yet, for most of my life, I looked at this text and said, wow, how could Martha get so distracted? How could she not sit at the feet of Jesus as Mary did? Jesus says that Mary was doing the better of the two. I have known many men and women who have this gift of hospitality who have looked at Jesus' words as being words of condemnation instead of words of invitation to experience something different. What would it mean if instead of seeing this text as one behavior better than the other, if we could see this text as one of possibility? Because in the time, the day, and the time in which Mary and Martha lived, the truth of the matter, like it or not, things of hospitality, cleaning, preparing food, washing clothes, all of that stuff was seen as what? Women's work. Indeed. See what I mean, Joy? That's not so good. Right. And so, instead of seeing this as a gift of hospitality, it was seen as women's work. But it was also expected of women that they would do these things, and it was valued by that culture at that time. And so let's not forget that. And so if Martha was seen as doing women's work, the work of a disciple, those who would sit at the feet of the teacher, and in this instance, Jesus' feet, to be taught the way of life, to be taught a different way of doing things. That was seen as what? Yeah, and we say that so much softer, don't we? Almost in disgust. And I said in my article, here's real transparency and vulnerability to you. Even writing and speaking those words, men's work and women's work, just frustrates me. Just frustrates me because I think it's wrong. And yet in our culture, so often we do the very same things. So Jesus says, he began to dismantle this oppressive system of sexism, of racism, of classism. When Jesus says, Mary has chosen the better thing, to sit at the feet of Jesus and to learn that she deserved to be there. Imagine that. She deserved to be in a place where women were often not welcome, where women were not seen as having the right to learn from Jesus. It seems a little bit bizarre, doesn't it? But that's the fact. And so Jesus is saying to Martha, Martha, Martha. He was not scolding her. He wanted her to see that in a relationship with the divine, that you can be anything that you desire to be. You can be anything that you dream to be. You can be anything that you know you are to be at the feet of Jesus, the one who would teach us a way of love, the one who would teach us a different way to behave, the one who would teach us to not only see each other, but to see beyond gender, to see beyond color of skin, to see beyond brokenness, to see the divine in each and every one of us. So when you think of the Holy One, dismantling systems that were indeed oppressing people, systems that continue to oppress people, I was like, now this is the Jesus I can believe in. This is the Jesus that I can follow. And this is the Jesus that I can encourage each member and friend of my congregation, a congregation that I have been called to serve, to lead, to teach ways of the divine to the best of my ability, and sometimes I fail. I will admit that. But my intention is to teach us to do as Jesus did, and to stand against each and every system that would oppress any human being. Yeah. Because when we do that, we begin to see the holy in each other in ways that we had never done before. And I truly believe that when we are able to see others differently and to believe differently for them and give them permission to grow into the expansiveness of life that God calls them to experience, and to not only experience, but to claim for themselves this freedom to live, to be human, to be exactly who you know you were born to be, then we will understand what it means to live our faith and to put our faith on the line for the sake of others. And then, and only then, will we be able to see that change in ourselves. Because Jesus never once said, believe in religion. Jesus encouraged us to do what? To heal the brokenhearted, to heal those who were broken, physically ill, to minister to those who are hungry, to feed the naked. Jesus never taught us to only look out for ourselves, but as we care for others and see the divine in others, then we can believe and begin to see the divine in ourselves. I believe that you cannot give away a gift that you do not have, but I believe that we can grow in that gift and in that realization that in God, that we are the beloved of the divine, just the way that we are. And the more that we are willing to take care of others, the more we will see the holy in ourselves, just the way we are. I personally know what it means to be told that you are less than. I do. I've spent my time in prison because of it. I lost my children because of it. And so I know what it's like to hurt and to lay in a prison cell. How did I get here? All I did was tell the truth about being gay. It would be years until I would receive a pardon from the state of California. A pardon that was signed by Kamala Harris. Thank you so much. But you know what? That time that I served, I call it my state vacation. I was on the state of California. Was a holy time in my life because I began to see God working in and through me in ways I had never experienced before. I began to experience what real freedom really is like. And I'm here to tell you, freedom didn't come to me when I walked out of that prison. Freedom came to me on the prison yard when I began to work on my own stuff. And when I began to remind myself that it was partially my behavior of not being honest with my ex-wife, not being honest with others about who I was. A gay man who deserved to be treated with respect and kindness. A gay man filled with much glitter, imagine that. But also a gay man who is known not by God as gay, not by God as male, not by God as white, but known by God as the beloved of God, because Jesus came for me, just as he came for you. And that is an amazing realization. I also know that pain of brokenness in growing up not knowing, well, who is my father? I knew who my mother was because I lived with her, but I was predominantly raised by my grandparents. My mother, for the formative years of my life, was married to a man named Tony. He was in the army and we traveled around a lot. It was not unusual for us to travel every 16 months to a new home to set up life in a new part of the world. And I loved that because I got to experience different cultures and different people. I think that also helped me in my understanding of nothing stays the same in our world. When I called Tony to tell him that I was leaving my ex-wife and my children, he told me what he thought about that. And he told me, get right with your family and don't ever call me again until you do. I think Tony thought that was a motivation for me to get things right. I've honored that statement from Tony, and I never did call him again. I learned this week that he died on Tuesday of last week. My brother's son, my nephew, whom I've never met, who found me on Facebook about 6 months ago, sent me a message that today at 1 o'clock is the viewing of my father, my stepfather, and tomorrow is his funeral. And he said, I know you had your differences with Tony, my stepfather, but I have to tell you, when he spoke of you, he never said a disparaging word. And I thought, how can that be? How can that be? And so my curiosity this week was to look up the obituary, Tony's obituary. And I was profoundly shocked to discover my name in his obituary. I have a lot of questions now. And I wish I would have not honored Tony's request to not ever call him again. I did so because I really, truly wanted to honor him, and I had to care for my own heart, and I had to come out. I cannot change that reality. But what I do have the experience of knowing now is that on some level, Tony loved me. Tony cared for me. He knew where I lived. He knows that I'm a pastor. It's unfortunate that we don't know the ups and downs, the joys and the disappointments of each other's lives. But can I tell you the relief that I have knowing that this man loved me on some level? That is why we must never tell people to go home. We must never tell people that they do not belong, especially because of the color of their skin or their gender or how they love or who they love. Because as we embrace the holiness of the divine in each and every one of us, there's so much more for us to experience. But we allow systems of oppression to motivate us more than we'd like to admit. And so today, the invitation for you and for me is, what is God calling us to be? Who do you know you are as a child of God? And how can you allow yourself to sit at Jesus' feet, to experience the holiness of the moment just the way you are, and know that God does not ask you to be anything other than who you are, a child named and claimed as the beloved of God. And so this week, sit at Jesus' feet. Today, this moment, sit at Jesus